a gif of a roller coaster, basically saying it's been a roller coaster day. Maybe they got the call, say, man, you're heading to Houston, and then maybe they got a call a couple minutes later saying, wait, no, they didn't agree. You're not going anywhere yet. If I was Garrett Cole in this situation, it would kind of suck to be him because you don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm sure he loves the Pirates organization, but I'm sure he wants to know where he's going as soon as he can. That way he can get there and start to train and get to know his teammates, his new teammates. So I think the Pirates in this situation, they need to think about Garrett Cole as well. Say, hey, you know, it's not like any of these two teams are offering bad prospects. Not enough. Obviously, the Pirates know it's a business and they want to get the best they can, the most they can out of these teams. But hopefully, they get a deal done within the next couple of days and let Garrett Cole move on with his career somewhere else. And because I'm sure he's not sleeping right now. I'm sure he's stressed out and he can't sleep. He's probably, if I'm lucky, he's listening to my podcast. So, Garrett, wherever you go, I'm going to root for you, man. Even if you're in pinstripes, I'm going to root for you. I want to see you get that ring. I hope you go to Houston and get the ring instead of New York. So, that's where I'm at with that. On to Andrew McCutchen. If he does go to Houston, if Garrett Cole goes to Houston, I've been hearing Derek Fisher and Kyle Tucker's name mentioned. Both of those guys are outfielders. Of course, there's still Austin Meadows down in AAA down in Indianapolis. So you have to think as soon as Garrett Cole gets traded, if it's for some outfielders, even if he gets traded to New York, Clint Frazier is the centerpiece of that. You have to think Andrew McCutchen is next in line to go because they're going to need somewhere for these guys to play, especially if Derek Fisher and Clint Frazier comes along. These guys are major league ready, and they're ready to play now. So, I mean, the Giants and the Mets, they don't have much to offer in the minor leagues. You got to look for maybe a starting pitcher, a young starting pitcher, if it's the Mets, as the centerpiece of any deal. And McCutchen can still play, man. He batted .279 last year with 31 homers, I think. He still produces. He had a bad year 2 years ago. We know everybody has their down years. And he came right back last year. It looked like he was going to have another bad year because he started out really bad. But then he just turned it on in the summer. And that's what he does, man. And he had another good year. He's still a really good outfielder. He's not a center fielder anymore. He's going to have to play one of your corner outfield positions. But he can still produce. And he's still fast out there, so he can still cover a lot of ground out there in the outfield. Doesn't have a great arm. So that's, Andrew McCutchen's going to make somebody happy because he's going to be put in the outfield and he's going to produce for somebody. If he goes to San Francisco, I mean, they're trying to make that push again. So, and if he goes to New York just signed Jay Bruce. That's something else we'll cover here in a few minutes. That'll give him that extra piece out there. I don't think he's going to New York anymore because of the Jay Bruce thing. I think San Francisco is the favorite at this point. But they don't have much left in their minor leagues. So, there's that. And then, of course, Josh Harrison is the third big name in the Pirates that has been thrown about with trade talks. Who knows where he'll end up. The Yankees are looking for a third baseman. And Josh Harrison is a good defensive player, and he's just a spark plug. He does a lot of things for you. He can play a lot of different positions, give people breaks here and there, and he just produces. There's another 280 hitter, and he hit 20-something home runs last year. I think 24 home runs last year, if I'm not correct. And he produced great for the Pirates last year. So there's another guy that the Pirates are going to be looking to trade and get some prospects for. I mentioned the Jay Bruce free agent signing at the end of the night. The whole day we're talking about Garrett Cole to the Astros, and then all of a sudden, report is the Mets are talking to Jay Bruce, and minutes later, Jay Bruce has signed a deal with the Mets to come back to New York and play with the Mets again. And that's huge for them. The Mets aren't out of this by any means. They have a good young starting pitching. And if they can all stay healthy, which it was a horrid season last year for the Mets staying healthy, this team could challenge Washington for that division because of their starting pitching. Now they got Big Bat and Bruce back. I think they're one more good hitter away from really being a really good contending team. I think they'll challenge for a wild card at this point. But right now, Washington's still the best team in that division. But they're one bat away from really challenging the Nationals for the division if they stay healthy. That was the problem last year. They couldn't stay healthy. So it was a really eventful day. Lots of stuff. Solarte got traded from the Padres last week to the Blue Jays. Another versatile infielder that could basically play any infield spot. Take a sip of my sweet tea. Yeah, I made this sweet tea earlier today. Central Pennsylvania sweet tea. You can't beat my sweet tea. I'm just going to throw that out there. Solarte in Toronto. I mean, are they trying to compete? I mean, they have some decent starting pitching in Toronto. Tulowitzki and Donaldson are still there. They lost Encarnacion a couple years ago, and that really hurt them last year. You could tell. Middle of their lineup struggled. I think Kendrys Morales is still there. So we're going to see what that Solarte trade does for them. What else we got to talk about, guys? I mean, there's so much stuff. There were some posts put up. Lots of new members, man. This has been great. Lots of new members. No, Paul LaDuca is not a Hall of Fame catcher. I'm going to throw that out there. Yes, I do believe that Edgar Martinez is a Hall of Fame DH. A lot of people don't agree with the DH being in the Hall of Fame, but it's a position in a lineup. A lot of guys are signed to a team to produce with their bat, not so much their glove, as a DH. And there's been a lot of great DH. David Ortiz. He played a little bit of first base in his career, but most of it was DH. Edgar Martinez was one of those guys. He was fantastic for the Mariners. I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he could hit the ball. I believe Eddie Murray. I know he played a lot of first base. Eddie Murray did, but he was a great DH. Harold Baines, another great DH. I think I compared that to saying a closing pitcher shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he comes in and pitches one inning and he gets anywhere from 30 to 50 saves a year. Probably pitches 60 to 70 innings a year. And he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he comes out and closes these games down. Why isn't the DH allowed to be in the Hall of Fame? In my opinion, it does. And Edgar Martinez deserves to be there. Again, I want to go back to that. We have a lot of new members. One thing I want to cover, guys, our podcast network is a big part of our group. And we want you guys to listen. We want you guys to give us your opinion. When you give an opinion, be respectful about it, guys. You don't have to call names. No name calling. We're gonna monitor that. We're gonna ask you to respectfully, if you start getting heated, we're gonna ask you guys to settle down. If you don't, we'll have to, remove you from the room. So we're trying to run a nice, respectful room here. Like Jake says, man, on his show, like Jake says when he's on the group, putting some posts up. Be respectful, man. No name calling, anything like that. So if you haven't heard Jake's show yet, you are missing something special. That man is great on a radio. He's fantastic. And if you don't listen to Jake Robinson Sports Experience, you are not a fan of baseball. Because that man will talk your ear off about baseball. I wouldn't trust anybody else's opinion over his. And he runs a fantastic show. So definitely catch him on the Jake Robinson Sports Experience. He does it a couple times a week. And he goes on for over an hour. Guys, he loves to talk baseball, and he's going to tell you about several different teams. He gets in depth about some of the players and the teams, and he's got some humor in there in the show. It's a fantastic show here on the Let's Talk Baseball podcast network. Every once in a while, TJ Gordon will drop his show, Rounding Third, and then I hope you love my show. Again, we're going to change the name to the Grand Slam with Mikey Franks. We're not just covering fantasy anymore. We're going to go into some free agent stuff. I'm going to talk to you about some of the teams and what I think they're going to do. So definitely keep listening to all our shows and catch us every week, man. We love doing this stuff, and we do it for you guys. This brings us to the final portion of my show. I wanted to give you my way too early 2018 predictions. And I'm going to go by each division, and I'm going to give you my champion of each division, and I'm going to give you my wild cards, and then I'm going to tell you who I think will see each other in the World Series, and we'll start in the NL East. I said it earlier, Washington is still the team to beat out there, so I think they're going to win the NL East again. Great pitching staff. Bryce Harper still the year. He's in a contract year. He's going to produce because he's going to make a lot of money next year. So I think Washington's the team to beat out there. We get to the fun divisions now. The NL Central. It tightened up with the signing of Marcell Ozuna, but I still think the Cubs are the team to beat out there. Yes, they lost Jake Arrieta. They're going to sign a pitcher, I think. I think they're going to get Yu Darvish. They may re-sign Arrieta. And they're still going to win the NL. I'm still picking the Cubs to win the NL Central. In the West, the Dodgers are going to be the team to beat for a couple of years. They're very young. Of course, they have Clayton Kershaw, the best pitcher in baseball out there. They're still going to be the team to beat. I think the Giants took a step forward. Arizona looked great last year. Colorado, of course, looked good. And it's going to be a decently tight race. I don't think it's going to be as blown out as it was last year. The Dodgers were unbelievable last year. This team had the best record in baseball, and they went on a horrid losing streak in the middle of the year that it looked like they were one of the worst teams in baseball. They still ended up with the best record in baseball. So I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year, but I still think they could still crack 100 wins. But it's going to be a tough division. Like I said, San Francisco took a step forward with getting Longoria. I don't think they're done signing people. I think they're trying to take that step forward. They still have decent pitching out there with Bumgarner and Cueto. So I like to see what's going to happen out there in San Francisco before spring training starts. But I'm still picking the Dodgers to win that division. I still think they're the class of the division. The NL wild card, I'm going to pick St. Louis, and I am going to say Colorado are going to be your two wild card teams, and they'll face each other. I think St. Louis would get the edge because you're going to give the ball to Carlos Martinez. And I think they'll be the home team in that game. And I think St. Louis is going to take a step forward this year. So St. Louis, I think, will win the wild card game there. In the American League, we're going to start out in the American League Beast, the American League East. Now, right now, as we say things, I'm definitely picking the Yankees to win the American League East. Good starting pitching.